Hi, it's Ben from My Cycling Coach. I hope you're well and that you're having a great day. We are back for day 21 then of our Advent training and nutrition tips as the part of the month of December. And today I've got a quick pre-ride fueling tip for you again, looking at the timing of the fueling. As yesterday I got a lot of questions after my video where I gave examples of some real quick and easy foods that you can use to achieve your pre-ride fueling intake. A lot of questions were coming in and saying, when should I be having this? And some riders have said, they're not sure when they should be starting that fueling process, and this can then lead to them even just not fueling at all because they're worried that they might be eating too close to the ride, too far away from the ride, and then they just don't eat anything at all. And then this is obviously having a real detrimental effect on the performance and quality of that ride because they're just running out of energy and not able to complete if they're doing any structured workouts or intervals. They're failing to complete this, or part of long endurance rides, they're then really struggling. So really, as a general rule of thumb, when you're doing any fueling prior to a ride, you want to start this process around sort of 1 to 3 hours before starting the ride. Now, this can really be personal preference as where you fall within that time scale. I know some riders, they can eat an hour before the ride and they have no problems with digestion. They can literally jump on the bike and start their ride feeling fine. I know some riders, if they were to eat an hour before starting a ride, they'd really struggle with this. They'd maybe start feeling a little bit sick or some discomfort in their stomach. And they have to then eat maybe more close to that sort of 2 to 3 hours before starting the ride. So yeah, general rule of thumb, 1 to 3 hours. But one thing I wanted to give you a tip on today, and what also can affect this as well, is the intensity of your ride, certainly during the first hour of the ride. So let's just say if you're going to be jumping on the bike and doing a short 1 hour high intensity interval training session with some threshold efforts, some VO2 max efforts, or just some real high intensity riding, then you probably want to be more towards the 2 to 3 hour prior to fueling for that ride. To ensure that you're not, obviously, when you start that ride, feeling sick. And this will just give you a bit more time to digest the food that you've eaten there. Those carbohydrate stores will be stocked up, and muscle glycogen, liver glycogen, and you will be able to then start that ride not feeling sick, but have done the fueling process to really have a good, solid quality workout. On the other side, if the ride that you're doing is maybe a longer endurance ride, you will still need to fuel with carbohydrates for this to really ensure that you have got enough energy. But let's say that the first hour of that ride, you just are going to be doing zone 2 riding, a little bit lower intensity, then you probably can get away with fueling a bit closer to that ride. So again, it might be you're doing these longer rides, you're having to get up early in the morning to start that longer ride, obviously then trying to get up 3 hours before starting that ride to fuel. If you're going out at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, you don't really want to be getting up 3 hours before starting that ride. So if it is a longer endurance ride, you are starting at, let's just say, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, but the first hour of that ride is going to be relatively low intensity, then you should be okay with fueling maybe an hour before that ride. You can hit your carb intake with some of the examples that I mentioned yesterday, maybe a bowl of porridge, muesli, you might be having some toast, bagels, crumpets, all of those examples that I gave yesterday. But this will then allow you can have that food, and because the ride is going to be fairly low intensity to start off with, that's absolutely okay. The body will then have a bit more time to digest before you then maybe start to get to the harder parts of that ride where there may be some climbings or efforts that you have planned there. So yeah, just some guidance there, guys, as I got a lot of questions on that yesterday after I gave those examples. When is the best time to fuel can be down to personal preference, but also the duration and intensity of your ride and how hard it is going to be from the off. I hope you found those tips useful, guys. As always, if you did, please drop a like on the video. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to give us a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel to receive our most recent content, and any comments, as always, would love to hear from you. Have a great rest of your day, enjoy your riding, and speak soon.